What's up, brother?
Hey.
It's happening. It's happening.
Hey, I'm Tom Seymour with VHS Massacre.
Tim Kulig with Tim Kulig Free Music, podcast, music, all the things. All the things, Tom. Okay, first and foremost, music updates. Dude, I'm exhausted.
Oh, yes. Tim is going to crack 1,000 songs. By the end of this year, these are royalty-free songs that anyone could use in any of their film and television and podcast and video game projects, and they actively do. I was on TikTok this morning and I heard one of your tunes, just in a random video, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I went back to look at the mass sprint I've been doing since the fall. Since September 15th, I've published 113 tracks.
Since September.
Yeah. Since September 15th.
Published, not wrote, published.
Yeah.
That's
published.
Incredible. Yeah.
Published. And I have 27 more in the pipeline before the end of the year, which there's 19 that by the middle of next week, I'll be in semi-finished publishable state, which means I'll be in the 90s by the end of next week, which I want to do. I want to finish this massive sprint. Yep. And be done before the holidays, you know, because I think I'm just going to lose steam, man, and I don't want to miss the mark because the holidays come and I just lose my ambition. I know I'm going to need a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I absolutely am going to need a break. I just from a creative standpoint, from a physical and mental standpoint, from the creative well is going to be dry, and I need to just do things. You know, which is why I'm going to Orlando for Thanksgiving this year for a few days. It's just get out, change the environment, have different perspective, blah, 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 you know, and just get that going. But, dude, it's what are the genres that are coming? Metal, spaghetti western, drum circle drums. Those three alone are going to get me to the 90s. And then I have some calm orchestral stuff that has been kind of marinating that I can probably get 8 to 10 of those tracks, which will put me over 1,000, and then I'm just going to take a break.
Essentially, yeah, we have Christmas, and then January will hit, and I'm sure you'll start right up again.
Oh, yeah. But I got to say, this is close to 300 for the year, so I don't know that I could ever do that pace again.
Yeah,
a little over 200 is doable, but then there's a finite line, Tom, where my brain just goes dude, I can't finalize that many creative ideas, you know?
Yeah, I think for the purposes of setting an extreme goal and hitting it, I think, the 1,000, because you're so close, it's just do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably 100 songs more than you would normally write in a year.
Absolutely.
But I get doing it, and frankly, it's that mentality that we talk about, the age-old story. There were two classes. One teacher told the class, "I want you to make one perfect pot by the end of the class," and the other class said, "I want you to make
as many as possible, right?
As many as possible, 100." And the results were better with the people that made 100. You know, so I believe in that. I really do.
Yeah, so do I.
That's just a matter of sharpening skills, doing it over and over. But so that's you're going to make it. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And I can't wait to see the website. Basically over 1,000 songs.
It's insane. Just absolutely insane. The only chance I think I have of matching this level of volume in the coming years is by doing the type of work that engenders variance. So podcast beds, intros, orchestral patches that you pull stuff out of, and it's okay, this is a sonata minus the percussion, right? Or this is a sonata with it's other stuff,
all stuff that people absolutely need. And I always bring up the example, Kevin MacLeod, long note 1, long note 2. I would use long note 2 a lot, but he probably just was I'll do long note 2, whatever.
Yeah.
It's long note 2 is the one I use a lot, and it's just a long note, but I need it, so, it's not always sexy, to do the stuff that's pure utility. These are beds, they're not supposed to evolve. They're to drop in the background of some random podcast or something,
Yeah. or even in a movie where you don't want a lot of stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to take away from a dialogue or the narrative or whatever. It can't be too busy. You know, and I constantly have to tell myself that when I'm writing this stuff, like, dude, you don't have to layer too many things in here. That's not what this is about. It's about, did you capture the mood? Great. Is it 2 parts? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It did the thing. You know, master it, make sure it sounds good, make sure that the levels are right on the export, nice high quality wave that you can upload and be done with it and move on, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but I tell you, it is tiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a busy time of year for me as well. There's like this work-life balance. I work at a college. I make these films. We're doing this film festival run, Tim and I. And so we actually, last night, we literally played in 3 cities.
Yeah, that's incredible. Talk about that, because that was next on my list, was talking about Video Dreams and the festival run and the recent playing.
To go off what we were talking about, your music, Gary Vollo and Andrew Vollo, two dear friends of mine, were at the premiere, and they loved the music. And they kept talking about the music. Like, well, how did you get the music? What was that? It's like, well, majority of it was Tim Kulig's music. It was his, you know, a lot of his synth stuff, and, you know, various tunes from his site. I think a few of them were. Sometimes you'll give me like rough drafts, and sometimes I'll put those in, so it's like original.
I have to be careful about that. Because
no, I know.
Sometimes I'm like, it's not fully, you know, like it's not.
I'm like, no, it's perfect.
You're like, no, take it. Here's the thing. Tom and I have this understanding. I'll give him something that I won't be embarrassed to be released, and he likes the fact that he grabs something before it's published because it's a unique piece that nobody else gets to use.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, and I'm a bit ahead of a musician. You know, I scored a few
2
films.
albums.
Yeah, I put out 2 albums, and I technically scored 3 feature films.
Right.
You know, so if something's mechanically like effed, I know not to, you know, put it in the timeline.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, but they really were digging the music and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
that's great feedback.
Video Dreams is a documentary that took about 2 years to edit. It's mostly archival footage, co-narrated by Tim and myself, and it's about the last 30 years of independent filmmaking. And so it got selected into Tri-Cities International Film Festival in Washington State and screened at Richland Players Cinema, which is one of their historic movie theaters. Oh, and nice. It won Best Documentary. It played in Red Rose Film Festival in Pennsylvania, and is currently nominated for Best Documentary, which is cool.
3 times, right? Like 3 show times at their festival, right?
Yeah, it was screening Friday, and I think 2 screenings on Saturday. And then in New York City, Film Noir Cinema was really nice enough to let me premiere Video Dreams at Film Noir Cinema, and it was good to see Gary and Andrew and all that stuff. So yeah, so in general it went well. I was really kind of nervous about the night for some reason, but
well, anytime we're showing our art off in any way, shape, or form, you're exposing your creativity and leaving yourself open to criticism, right? I always feel a little weird about that, you know? Yeah,
but the theater is cool. I can actually let me bring up something. I could probably share screens.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is the interior of Film Noir Cinema. Mm-hmm. And it's actually like a functional video store in there. So
you can purchase, you can't rent.
No, you can do both. You can do both.
Well, you can.
Yeah, like for instance, there's like can't really see them, but there's some of the posters are for sale. Mm-hmm. I think some of the Blu-rays have price tags on them, but there's also rental as well. Like if you look, these are all for sale. Mm-hmm. Those might just be 10 to buy. But if you look at the racks, I don't know if you can see the racks below, but it's an interesting idea. You see all these things? These are just like really, really thin plastic.
With just a disc in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, it's actually pretty good amount of inventory if you look at that.
Yeah, I mean, without the amores over the disc, I mean, it doesn't take up a lot of space, right?
Yeah, right? What would you say? That's like, God, what
50 to 100 each row?
Right. So you're
just guessing.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it could be a couple thousand titles,
Yeah.
just in that.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
it's kind of smart, and they had some really. I should have bought that. It was $100, but there's like a framed Dawn of the Dead, pristine. Yeah, it wasn't autographed or anything, but beautiful. And then I think, is it this one? Oh, that's just that's like a 1 second clip. I only did it on my phone. Like,
You're like, oops.
Yeah, that's the cinema, and then this is cool. This is the exterior. Let me turn down the volume.
Just turn down the main Skid Row.
It gets, the theater is much larger in the back. You just see the front, and it kind of just looks like a regular storefront.
Yeah.
But it goes back significantly, and I forget how many seats there are. Could be like 60 seats or something like that. I'm not sure.
I always like the entrance to it. It's kind of like that 45 kitty cornered around, like at the corner of the block.
Yeah, right. It makes it
like
a little
lot.
more makes it feel larger.
Yeah.
The guy Will who runs the place. He's really cool. I premiered VHS Massacre 2. I premiered at Film Noir Cinema.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Okay, let me stop that. Yeah, and then Red Rose and the other ones, I don't think I found much on. They haven't. I can double check, but didn't really find much on the website about releases on the. They didn't post any pictures or anything.
Okay.
So yeah,
it might be a little premature too. That was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah. I mean, there's a screening tonight actually. So yeah, that I think that's the first time we've ever screened in 3 cities at the same exact time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like,
I should ask the Indie Spirit Awards if that'll qualify us for something. I think for the Indie Spirit Awards in the United States, you have to screen like 7 days in a row. I want to be like, well, what about
three places at the same time?
Yeah, huh? We'll see when it comes to that. But what else in festival news? A few things happened. Let me bring up my website here. Okay, this is pretty cool. Bare Bones International Film Festival awarded me the Russ Fry Documentarian Award, which is pretty cool. Bare Bones Film Festival is a solid mid-size film festival in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And we first entered Everything Moves Alone, which Tim is in, and in 2002. So I've been entering Bare Bones with a lot of projects, like at least I'd say 4 or 5 over the years.
Yeah.
And
in the last 2 decades and a half, basically.
Yeah. And they're really cool. It's a really wonderful festival. They take over the whole town in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and it's like. And when we started entering it, it was fairly new. I think it'd been around for 3 or 4 years, and it was, I guess, on the small side. But really, it's a significant film festival now, pretty well respected.
Yeah, hanging in there. I mean, it was around 4 years prior to us entering when we entered.
Yeah.
So now we're talking, it's been around for almost 3 decades. So.
Yep, and Sharon Butterfly Ray is I met her twice because I actually went there twice to Oklahoma. It was pretty awesome.
I only remember the first time. That's pretty cool. You went there twice.
Yeah, and she's been running it, the whole time, and still going. So it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. So we got the prestigious level award, right? And there was also a second one, right? Did we get 2 from them? I want to say.
It's true. They have the Bonehead Awards.
Yeah,
which is called Bare Bones Film Festival. Yeah, and that was a documentary award as well. Yeah. But this one is the Russ Fry. And Russ Fry was a historian out of Iowa, I believe, who documented the Black Hawk. I want to say the Black Hawk tribe. I don't want to misspeak exactly about. I mean, it was a region, but also I think a tribe.
Okay.
So it's a pretty important figure apparently.
Yeah.
So it was
awesome. Then it's very prestigious, and it's it's a welcome and respectable award to get from Bare Bones for sure.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, like our mission is to try to get the film screened like around the world essentially and get people to see it, because we're low budget independent filmmakers, fully aware that our films are not going to play in cineplexes all over the world. We're not going to have like a 8,000 theater release. But what I think the highest goal we were looking for is to try to screen in 50 theaters, and what we've gotten to is 30 so far. So we've had 30 official selections and 17 wins, and so far that actually ties the official selections of VHS Massacre 2. We're still waiting back to hear back from about 40 film festivals, and it's hard, Tim, because we get I think we're still at about 45% selection rate, which is stellar.
That's astronomical, dude. That's like.
Yeah, I mean, usually you're getting into 1 in 4, 1 in 3. 1 in 3 is more common. 1 in 4 is actually more common. Yeah. So for every one you get into, I mean, there's 3 rejections for every one you get into.
Right.
But lately it's been that, I have to say. Lately it's just been rejection.
Well, we also have a theory too, right? A theory is like there's a point of diminishing returns as far as the festival run might be, right? Because in certain locations there is the feeling that like a festival wants to be the first to show something, right? And if you enter several festivals in one area, there's the idea that in the background people talk to each other, and if it's going to premiere here, then maybe it doesn't make it to this other one, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And some of that stuff, apparently some of the festivals will talk to each other in an area just to factor in, what the deal is. We're not always privy to that. Like, as an example, like when I did research on film festivals, I was really trying to hone in to what I thought was the best match. What kind of films did they play? What kind of film did I make? And so in result, I think there was about 4 film festivals in Pennsylvania we entered, and we got into 1. And I have no idea, but they may talk to each other and say, look, dude, I don't want to play the same film. We're playing a month before you. I don't want to play the same film. Did you guys get this one? Yeah,
right. So,
and there's nothing nefarious about that. But the only thing is, and I don't know that that's true at all. But some film festivals will talk to each other. And so, but for you and I who are just entering these things, we're not privy to any of that.
Right. So you got to just cross your fingers and hope, hey, this is a market that people don't talk to each other, and it's just gonna get our best chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're gonna New York City. Technically, we're in New Filmmakers New York, and that is probably gonna maybe do an online screening next year. But we pushed that because they like to do elongated online screenings. We didn't want to jeopardize premiere statuses. We entered Dances with Films in New York, and this is, I don't know if I talked about this before on other podcasts, but this is very rare. But they issued a small review to us and from the committee, and the full review is from Dances with Films. Is Video Dreams shows a passion, perseverance, and challenges of independent filmmakers, and contains fascinating detail about the process and industry in general, with a profound focus on the low budget filmmaking process in the dying physical media industry. And I truncated that quote so it's a little more sexy. Video Dreams shows the passion, perseverance, and challenges of independent filmmakers with a profound focus on low-budget filmmaking. So, like, Dances with Films is like a top, it's, I don't know, in the U.S., top 20, maybe top 15, maybe top 10. It is, of independent filmmaking. We're not even talking about genre. It's a big fest. And I was looking this up, like how often do film festivals issue, like the mini reviews? They do it, but I guess it's really rare. Like they have to want to get behind the film. So it's an odd thing just to put the cards on the table. So we're not screening it Dances with Films, but they kind of endorsed it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it already passed the selection process? Like, is it already gone past that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's almost like getting an award of merit from them.
Yeah.
By saying something like that, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the next best thing to screening. Yeah. So, and who knows if I'm gonna think of this in a really positive way? They're like, we like this film. We want to offer something, and then who knows? Maybe they're in touch with Slamdance or something.
Right.
Maybe Slamdance is like, no, we want to premiere it.
Yeah.
That's my wishful thinking. That's
right.
That's
right.
how I'm gonna.
Yeah. Just be ambitious and be delusional. Let's
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
exactly.
like they talk to each other and they're like, no, this needs to get pushed up, and we're going to talk nicely about it and push it to this festival. That would be awesome.
Well, I like the
fantastic.
gestures. Just saying we should say something is really nice. And
Yeah.
I wanted to mention too, the top underground film festival in Australia is Melbourne Underground Film Festival. And you may think I'm mispronouncing that, but apparently you do not say Melbourne. Apparently it's Melbourne.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, or sometimes even abbreviated Mel. So, yeah, I didn't know that. Someone TikToked me on that. I'm like, oh, really? And then I looked it up. Like, yeah. It's like how Tom Poirier. What was that?
Worcester?
Like Worcester. Yeah. Well, I was going to
Worcester,
say
Mass.
East Coast people sometimes say Oregon, and Tom Poirier, he was who produced the segment in VHS Massacre 2 in Bend, Oregon with the last blockbuster. He's like, it's Oregon. He's like, I don't know.
Oregon. Yeah.
You guys saying Oregon? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm sorry.
That's how you know we're from the other side of the country. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, dude, again, like, there's so many towns in Massachusetts. Like, somebody that's not from the area is like, you want to go to Worcester today? No, it's Worcester. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah, that's
again,
that's
it's
an
one of
odd
those
one.
things.
Worcester. Yeah.
Worcester.
But anyway, so a Melbourne Film Festival underground, and this is an interesting thing too. Like filmmakers out there might be interested in this. Underground Film Festival circuit is almost like a separate rail, and I was thinking about, like, when you think about underground, you're like, okay, films that are more like, could be more controversial, could be grittier, could be more artistic, and that's kind of that's, in my opinion, that's kind of what it is. It's more like that old school auteur theory. I'm going to make a gritty art film. I'm going to make an underground film. And the more we started to getting into these ones, Torino Underground and stuff like that, I was just kind of realizing, like, dude, that's what we do, And to get into the top underground fest in Australia and Italy,
And then the 4 or 5 in the UK?
4 or 5 in the UK, and we got into the absolute top genre fest, CineXS. Fright Fest would be the competitor, but because CineXS is connected with academia, it's way more prestigious.
Yeah.
So, but I was looking up, is CineXS an underground film festival? It's like, no, it's a genre film festival. So, okay, so it's like, yet a lot of genre films would fit very comfortably in underground festivals. So
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. It's funny, these divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think honestly, it's more niche stuff, like what we're doing, right? Very specific. It's not. I want to think that it's serving value in a very specific space. It's not this large appeal audience based narrative. You know what I mean? Like action movies or something like that.
Yeah,
like, it's not like that.
It's non-commercial, really. Yeah. And when I thought about it, I was like, well, that's kind of lovely. That's kind of where I am. And I was thinking about it too. I started looking up stuff. I'm like, Chicago Underground is hands down the king of underground film festivals in the world. And I was like, it is so popular that it's as big as some of the top regular independent film festivals. So it's like something like Austin Film Festival might be more commercial, but Chicago Underground is so big. It's like, it's almost an equivalent. It's just different, So that was making me happy that it was kind of like some of the noise of the corporate film festivals and our inability to crack through or break through certain things. I was kind of taking solace in the fact that there are still these festivals out there that are kind of dedicated to almost counterculture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you wonder, like, it was very evident when you and I were in our 20s, moonlighting at video stores and, working 2 or 3 jobs at once and just, in the thick of understanding that independent film era and, like, the big stuff and how these mom and pop video stores just needed content in there. And nowadays it's like, well, geez, how does anybody get in front of anybody? And that's precisely why we're doing what we do. We do the film, festival circuit the way we do, and, targeted surgical approach to where we submit the movies to. So we maximize our ability to get it in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah, and that way, when we go to streaming, and if all goes well, we'll go through MVD because they take a lot of our other catalog. Then it'll have some real buzz. Hopefully, and at some point, we'll do a physical media release. Yeah. It would be nice if we could do Vinegar Syndrome again, but if we can't, we'll figure out something.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they more genre based, like horror, or?
The main label, Vinegar Syndrome, is very much about like kind of restoration and preservation of mostly films shot on like actually celluloid, like 16 or 35.
Okay.
That they can then like clean up and do a release. Usually films of some note, but heavy genre, horror and stuff like that,
Okay.
But their spin-off labels would do like these things that are like adjacent. Like, for example, our American Expendables documentary about Billy Blanks and Cynthia Rothrock and all this stuff, that was ETR Media was like, yeah, that matches well. I think they did a Tiger Claws disc with all 3 Tiger Claws, and so like, oh, this will fit in. So that sold pretty well. But they weren't when I pitched Video Dreams, they weren't super hot on it. So we may have to find someone else.
But they may have some people to suggest as well. They may be like, hey, this isn't us, but there's these other distributors you may want to talk to, and then if they give us a contact, that's a whole different thing. Hey, so-and-so from Vinegar Syndrome told me to reach out to you.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
That kind of thing. It's always good when you can connect between that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is interesting. Like 30 years into the film career, it's like there's a lot of people that won't get back to us or talk to us, but some people will. And some people actually know our documentaries and stuff like that. So that's only happened probably in the last 5 years. Yeah. So it's kind of gratifying,
It very much is. And I think it's not unlike the surprises I get from the music, too. I get people reaching out to me, and they're like, I've been using your stuff for years. I'm just like, I've seen you interact on socials. I don't know how did you get it? Like, then I start like grilling them. I'm like, how'd you find me? Well, and it's always the most bizarre way. It's like some project you and I did, or somewhere down the road, and somebody suggested me, and next thing you know, this person's now a fan. Like, this stuff just takes time. It just takes time to build a fan base, and then you have to be consistent about this. Talking to people, letting them know what's going on, letting them know what's coming down the pipeline. Like, my next idea and topic was going to be, what the status is of the commercial doc that we're trying to pull together. We haven't done a podcast in a few weeks about that and bringing up anything, but it's still we're actively discussing direction, things we want to do with it, and trying to coalesce an overall theme and idea as to the message for the thing. And I thought maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So Tim Kulig and I are in the early process of developing a documentary about television commercials and basically how they're cultural windows into the past. And in some cases, because they were designed for the time in which they were shown, they're incredibly blunt and deliver information. And in a way, I think they contain inconvenient information that, like, maybe even the public or the government may not want to the government may not want to be reminded of this type of stuff. I know I'm being kind of cryptic, but it just is something as simple as I showed Tim an advertisement for a $2.79 T-bone steak, and so the sticker shock is crazy. We calculated inflation. That's still only $15. But that steak, a T-bone, would be at least $35. And so you see how badly we've lost buying power and how badly the middle class has lost ground. Mm-hmm. And that's actually inconvenient. That's not something that like the government would actively like to advertise.
Right.
And there's other things too, like showing the Flintstones commercial and they're smoking Winston cigarettes. And this is also inconvenient, sort of the blatantness, associating a kid's cartoon, although Flintstones was for adults too, is an odd thing.
Yeah, kind of like Archer or, Bob's Burgers would be today.
Yeah.
Bob's
Burgers I think is a good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you say, the laxness or the casualness in which they present this product.
Yeah.
Smoking and how
and it was mid-show. It wasn't like the show stopped. That advertisement was shoehorned into the actual show. And that was not uncommon for that era too, where you would have just, like a standard sitcom would mid-sitcom just start throwing an advertisement.
Yeah, Beverly Hillbillies we watched, and it had that same thing in there. And again, it's like what that would normally do is like, well, if they're so casual with it back then, what are they doing to us now? And there's a lot of parallels with processed food and all this stuff, but even promoting social media, which we know is not good for us. There's a lot of too much social media is bad for you.
Yeah.
Straight up. So it's weird. That's what I mean by some of the commercials contain these, like, not secrets, but they're sort of reminders.
Well, they're culturally significant sensitivities that are locked in a time frame in the past. So, like, there's certain things said or certain things shown or certain sensitivities that are not there that are absolutely there today or evolve to not be. Like maybe there are sensitivities that are here today that 15, 20 years from now, because of the way that society waxes and wanes in their comfort of conveying information certain ways or not, will be more aggressive or more sensitive about how to convey those things. And again, it sounds very cryptic, but it's because I'm trying to cover 1,000-foot.
Yeah,
Not cite an exact exact example, but
yeah, I think Joe Bob Briggs would talk about how the country ebbs and flows in regard to its puritanical nature. Mm-hmm. People get very, you can't say this, you can't say that, and then things, they ebb and flow. There's restriction in language, and then there's relaxing of language. So but so all these themes. I mean, it's like I want to do a section just called bizarre coincidences. Because I don't want to go too far in conspiracy, but like there's all these commercials with like like a plane flying into the Twin Towers. These advertisement, like 1996, I think it was a video game commercial.
Yeah.
But there's bizarre coincidences that are definitely because it's such an iconic imagery. It's like these are worth talking about.
Yeah. And it was bizarre. Like that wasn't. I'm sure. I mean, it would be horrific if there was any correlation between the two. But the chances are, it's literally just a strange juxtaposition that ended up paralleling some horrific thing that happened in the future.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the dietary supplement called AIDS, and it was weight loss, and the product was started in the 40s, and it would continue to be advertised through the and 90s, and of course the AIDS epidemic happened, and there was this backlash saying like, well, I don't think
this.
Like I don't like. It's just a terrible coincidence.
Yeah.
It's no one's fault. Like I mean, imagine if you had a family company since the 1950s, and it's an AIDS dietary supplement, and then this horrible epidemic came along where people would experience weight loss. It's just terrible coincidence,
Well, it's like the Domino's with the Noid campaign. There was some crazy tragedy that happened that basically cut that whole thing short, and it was nobody's fault other than the incident that happened. I don't remember the details of it, but it was something pretty severe.
Yeah, there was a guy. I think his last name was Noid, and he was, I think the mental illness was schizophrenia.
Yeah,
and so he actually thought the TV was talking to him. So he went to a Pizza Hut and held these people at gunpoint and demanded they make him a pizza and all this stuff. And police came. They kind of surrounded the place. Eventually, he gave up, and then I think he went to a hospital, mental hospital. Okay. What do they call them now? Mental health facility.
Yeah.
and he may have killed himself. So after all that, it wasn't. So I guess I guess this was a famous story. One of
I
my
don't
friends.
recall it. I mean, at the time, I think we were mid '80s, right? Mid to late '80s.
Yeah,
so
I never
pretty
remember
young.
this in history. One of my friends told me the whole story about it. That's the only reason why I know about it. But yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have known. But yeah, I guess it was really famous, and multiple people have covered it and talked about it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
So we probably won't get into it if that's the if that's the case. Like, it's been covered. It's been covered. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
No.
it's like it's. I did a segment on it. I think VHS Massacre 2 had a Noid segment that we didn't end up using. So I don't know, but
Yeah, we'll see. Well, that's the whole thing about this, right? Like, this is our whole process. We have a pattern, everybody. We get mid-festival run, and then we get itchy that we got something else we need to make, because we don't want to be holding an empty bag by the time the last festival tells us whether or not we're accepted or not. We're like, we're not working on anything, like we can't do
oh,
this.
dude,
Yeah.
I had there was 2 weeks where like the film was in the circuit and off, and with these huge gaps in time between notification dates. So there's a few weeks where I didn't have anything to like play around with, and it messes with my head. Like, I gotta be working on something, because it's kind of a promise to myself and even my younger self that I will strive to be more than I am.
Right.
And when I'm not working on something towards some dream, some larger thing to become better, then just a guy who goes to work. So I can't have that,
Right. No, and it equates to the whole catalog building for me. You know what I mean? I'll be building a catalog until I stop breathing. Like I say, oh yeah, my goal is to hit 1,000+ tunes. Blah blah blah. I am pumped to start the journey for the next 1,000, and beyond that. You know what I mean? Because I just know that like the next 1,000 tunes are going to be that much better than what I've done already. I'm going to look back fondly at the stuff I did in the beginning. But, oh my God, am I going to be able to do so much more in so much less time with the skill set that I build going forward. Like, one of the first things I want to do next year is literally sit down and train on some of the tools that I have and learn, like, 5 or 10 new techniques and tricks with, like, this software instrument, with Logic Pro, with, social media, blah, blah, blah. Like, just keep building on everything. And then be able to produce something that is like, people are like, I love the way it sounds, blah, blah, blah. In like another year or two, I want people like, dude, I don't know what you did, but it sounds even better. I just like, it just keeps getting better. Like, that's the goal. Like, every time I want to tell a better story with music, I want to tell a better story with our movies, and I want to get a better reach with it. I want more people to experience what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and kind of on that subject is that like the type of, it's kind of like the Tony Robbins thing. You have to take a massive amount of action,
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that, and I've noticed, is that like it is wild. Like, you will have, it's good to have specific dreams. I want to get here. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I've had all those things. But what is really wild is that if you take a bunch of action, let's say you make 1,000 songs, direct all these movies. Like, every few years I'm putting out a feature. Taking this massive amount of action, and you will, if you do enough of it, then things will happen. You have to put things into motion. Mm-hmm. You have to try things. But it is just odd. The American Expendables doc, for instance, Tim can tell you that the amount of doubt in my head about that project and what I had made was wild. But I put it out, and was talking to Greg from Fanzine, and he was like, oh, you didn't do a physical release? I'm like, I want to. He's like, oh, try this company. They're like, yeah, we'll put it out. And then lo and behold, they distribute through Vinegar Syndrome. So Vinegar Syndrome is like, some people dream their whole life of having a Vinegar Syndrome release.
Right.
It's like the criterion of genre film, and actually, before I forget, Debbie Rashawn's movie Model Hunger is getting a Vinegar Syndrome release through, I think,
that's awesome.
through Wild
Congrats,
Eye.
Deb.
So congrats, Debbie.
That's awesome.
But the point is like, it's wild the things that can eventually happen. Like forever, I wanted to get on Screambox, or sorry, not Screambox. Forever, I wanted to get on Shudder. One my movies on Shudder, VHS Mask movies on Shudder. Well, lo and behold, MVD works with Cineverse, and Cineverse bought Screambox and Bloody Disgusting. So we got in a Bloody Disgusting article, and then we got both VHS Massacre films on Screambox. Screambox is literally the rival of Shudder. And so, like, you just don't know. You don't... The only thing you have control over is how much effort in action you take, you know?
Right. It's consistent discipline is what it comes down to. And listen, you're not going to be 100% every day. You never are, right? And that's why I end up having like 4 to 6 week windows where I just lose ambition to like finish projects and everything. So I shift gears during that time, and I'm like, okay, you're going to sit down X amount of times a week and just ideate new song ideas. You don't have to finish them. You don't have to go anywhere. I give myself the freedom to just play, and just play to a point where I throw down a couple ideas and they don't have to do, and like I can never use them. There's stuff on my hard drive right now that's like 3-4 years old that I'm like, it's a piece of shit. I don't think I'm ever going to do anything with that. And it doesn't matter because I got this weird thing out of my head, so I have space now for something else. And that's part of the process.
Yeah.
That's part of the large volume process. It's like, instead of tinkering around with this thing that's not going to work, clear your mind so you free up the space, and you have the energy and the creative ability to channel. I don't want to get too heady about it, but it's literally what I feel like. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know where this is coming from, but I'm like, just, this thing is just coming out of me, and 2 hours later I have like 85% of a track done.
There is, I know, I think I know what you're talking about. Like, I don't there with projects, there's either a mental wall that forms where there's this like nauseousness about a project and a overwhelming, almost disgust reaction if I hit a wall with a creative idea. If a channel opens and I can get into a flow, then the project will continue. But it's an odd thing.
Yeah. I've seen that with some of the projects we've done. I've seen you hit a wall and it turns into a several week discussion before I get an email or a Discord shout out like, hey dude, go check out this unlisted thing. I put together like 25 minutes worth of stuff last night. I'm like, what? And it comes out of nowhere. I'm like, what? And all of a sudden something clicks for you.
Yeah, it's just
you know what I mean?
Things they either shut down or they open up. With the American Expendables, it's literally stopped, and I was like, I can't do it. I don't know why. It was also a lot of life stresses going on at that time.
Yeah, yeah, you got to factor that in too, and bring that to the table and let people realize, yeah, like sometimes that gets in the way, and that stops the creative flow. But for reasonable reason, like family and personal relationships and stuff, they come first.
Yeah,
like that's. Otherwise, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my family is the most important thing. But I think for me to be the best me, I have to have these healthy creative channels. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do this. We have to have collaborative creativity. We have to build brand going forward.
Yeah.
Together, each other's everything. So,
yeah, we should talk about brand building for a second, but I did want to circle back to W. Rashawn's Model Hunger. So we mentioned it for a second, but we mentioned Model Hunger in VHS Massacre 2. This was a film that, like, for a long time was not available on streaming because of the graphic nature of some of the horror scenes. So Debbie Rochon directed the film, and so it actually had a hell of a time and was not available to stream anywhere. We talked about it on VHS 2. I don't know for a fact that our coverage of it had anything to do with the Vinegar Syndrome release, but I'm very happy it worked out that way. It was like the taboo nature, and this is a really good film. It's one of Carmen Capobianco's last films, who Tim and I grew up with, and it has Tiffany Shepis in it, and it also has Lynn Laurie, who was in Shivers and The Crazies. So she worked with Cronenberg and Romero.
Oh, that's cool.
So
It's amazing how close we get to all that stuff. You know what I mean? Just like once removed here, once removed there. You know what I mean? It's nuts.
It's nuts. But I would really think Carmen would be very happy about one of his films having a Vinegar Syndrome release through Wild Eye. I think he'd be very happy about that.
Yeah, I wish he was around for it. That'd be
great. Yeah, me too. But yeah, congrats to Debbie and the whole Model Hunger team, and awesome news.
Yeah.
But so brand building. So you're gearing up to try to do some brand building with Tim Kulig Free Music, right?
Absolutely. I'm currently engaged with a VA, a virtual assistant, that's helping me do all that stuff. So now I got a team. It's me and one other person. And what's awesome about that is now I'm multiplying time, right? I've got somebody building content, helping me navigate social media, and finding paths and ways to better get my brand and ultimately my product in front of as many people as possible. And part of the way we're doing that is more consistent content, because that puts me in people's faces more frequently. Also, my plan in 2026 is to do live streams. So I'm going to be doing live streams where people actually see my process, or I might play live. I don't know. There's going to be a whole bunch of things. I'm opening up live channels on YouTube. So I'm literally going to have like a lo-fi channel that just runs 24/7, a horror channel that runs 24/7. Think of Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube. Like, literally like a community where people can come in, there's a message thread, and they just come in and listen to the tracks and comment on it and everything. Again, just more ways to be present across all platforms. But also find ways to emulate what's working for other people in my space, in the royalty-free space. So, there's OGs like Kevin that literally were there when YouTube opened up, but how do you propagate your brand today when there's so much noise on various platforms? Well, there's ways to do that, and the value proposition I have is, up front, it's free. So you have to find a way to communicate to people like, this is high value stuff, it's free with attribution, and by promoting and pushing and using my stuff, that's how you can help me. That and Patreon and donations and all sorts of stuff, and extended license payments and stuff. So all that stuff, that whole mix, I have another person helping me with through all of next year. So the hope with that is that it can start paying for, like multiples, paying back multiples for all the effort that's going in there, because it's already working. But like for me, this is something that needs to build much bigger than it is right now, and I can't do it alone. I can't be creative and drive all of that, all of the marketing and all the socials. So I just made a decision this fall where I'm like, I just need help. I just need help with this, and I found the path to that. And Liz, the person that's working with me, is doing it's been the first week, but she's done a fantastic job out of the gate, and I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, so you're primarily you're a musician and an entrepreneur, but the thing is, like, wearing all those hats, social media expert, marketing, finance, and music. This stuff it's a lot. It's a lot for one person to do.
Yeah. Not to mention I have a consulting gig on top of that takes my time. You know what I mean?
So yeah. So
trying to do all that at once. It's like,
and I feel I'm in a similar boat. My model is kind of like Trauma and Lloyd Kaufman. Like, he shamelessly self-promotes, but it works, and people know who he is, and so I realized that too, that it's just how it is. So I think if my primary goal was to be a podcaster and have my show on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, I think that I would probably be further along than I am. But I've always been a feature filmmaker,
right?
And those films are successful on their what do you say, professional streaming sites. So there's just like this. I mean, obviously YouTube and like sites like Prime and Tubi and Peacock and all these things they're slowly kind of pushing into each other. But I still have to have a social media presence. So I've been building that over the past 5 years. So recently did some promotion and got over the K bump of followers, and that's across all platforms. I think it's 5 or 6 different platforms.
Yeah.
So it's decent. It means that if I post a video, it could get between, I'd say, 1,000 and 5,000 views.
Across everything.
Across everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not counting impressions. If I count like Twitter and Blue Sky impressions, that could push up to a few thousand. So you could just say a video will get a couple thousand across platforms. I noticed, like on YouTube, for instance, which I get the least views on YouTube. I'd say the most on TikTok, second most on Instagram, least on YouTube. So this is what I realized: if I put a podcast, mandatory, I have to put a short with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I do that, it'll get a couple hundred.
Well, that's why I love Riverside, because I can literally, like, when this is done, the long form of this. Let's be honest. Most people aren't going to sit through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. Unless they're into us and they're following us, and that's great. But it helps make micro content and even mid-size content. Now you can do wide format YouTube style video that's anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes long, and it's on one of the subjects that you were talking about. So it takes this like little snippet, and that's much more consumable than an hour-long show, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody doesn't want to know about all the music stuff I'm doing. They want to know about the movies, and they want to just focus on that, or vice versa. Or they just want to hear us bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, our friends are always in there checking things out and whatever. But like recently, I just did a quick update last week, and it through Podbean, and it published to Facebook. And I got a notification yesterday. And I only published it Thursday. I got a notification yesterday. I had over 100 views. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. All right, so that's working. You know what I mean? And then it's also part of that marketing and part of that mix and part of bringing Liz on too is that it's finding those butter zones, right? Where you're going to get as many people as possible to consume your content, or at least a portion of it, so they understand what you're doing and they understand the value add that you have and whether it's right for them or not. Like, I'm fine shedding followers if it's not right for them. They just happen to watch one of my things that appealed to them. They're like, this isn't something I need to follow. I'm trying to build the tribe that I'll have through the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's fine. I am not so egotistical that I appeal to everybody. Like, no freaking way. You know what I mean? Like, that's not realistic.
No, it's like I think it was. Oh no, Lloyd Kaufman said he thought he had about 500,000 loyal fans, and that kind. And that's not to say he's probably got a couple million more casual fans, but there's a sort of core. And
I would fall into that category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I read a lot of horror music, but I'm not a huge horror fan. It's bizarre. But like, I tend to like the more like sci-fi thriller genre. You know what I mean? Not the gore and everything else. Like sci-fi can get gory. I just watched The Thing for the first time in like
brilliant
30 years recently, and I was like, dude, this is frightening. I don't know why they're making a sequel, but I don't know. It's a whole other argument. It's a whole other argument, jumping on genre films. Nostalgia, rather. I don't know. I hope they don't bastardize this Spaceballs remake and anything else they're trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a whole discussion on mainstream cinema. I think one of the biggest missteps of the studio system was treating the independent film movement. And what I mean is the real independent film movement, which means low budget filmmaking. I'm not talking about $20 million films.
Independent. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's like all those people are Hollywood producers. It's like A-list actors or whatever. The biggest mistake the studio system made was treating, let's say, underground filmmakers as enemies. And the gatekeeping's still pretty bad and all this stuff.
Well, they're all worried about their jobs because this AI surge is threatening all industries, like everywhere, including editing and including animation, including the whole gamut, And I feel like personally, I'm going to stand on this rock for a little while until I've proved me otherwise. But it's going to be like the .com bubble, man. There's going to be they're shoving AI in toasters, and stupid shit. And like that's just gonna pop, and there's gonna be a deflation for a little while, and then you're gonna have the real tools that survive. And
I guess that. Things. I heard one expert talking about this thing in regard to getting people's attention, online attention, social media, using AI and other means. Is that like there's a finite amount of audience, but these Silicon Valley companies are so pressured into profitability that that's where you get the Internet of Things. They're trying to put the technology in everything because they're trying to double and triple the influence. They want to be able to claim that they get this much watch time and all this stuff.
Yeah, but if everybody's doing that, then there is no advantage to using the tool at that point.
It's not real. It's not real, and apparently it's like causing all sorts of issues with the youth not socializing with each other, not dating, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah,
so. Really bizarre. There's going to be a social reset for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the commercial, the commercial documentary we're working on. It's like not a hell of a lot of difference between, Barney Rubble chain smoking cigarettes and, Silicon Valley pushing social media.
Right.
It's
right. It is an addictive drug, basically.
Yeah.
That if you're not careful, you could sit there and doom scroll for 2 hours and be like, "What the hell happened in 2 hours of my day?" It's
dangerous. I would say, luckily, we're old, so we're.
But I find myself doing that from time to time. And I look at myself, I'm like, dude, go do something productive. What are you doing?
Yeah, I just mean like we might be have a little more perspective on checking ourselves. Going, whoa, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's like when I used to drink too much. So
Yeah, seriously.
But
and it it just something you said earlier made me think about the article I saw yesterday about Rockstar kicking GTA 6 down the curb or down the road for 6 months.
Again?
It was supposed to come out in May. They're booting it to November. But here's the thing: it's the pretty much the only quadruple A rated game out there. And the reason I call it that is because by the end of the day, by the time it comes out, they'll probably have spent $500 million on that game before release day one, and it'll probably be the last time that ever happens because what's coming down the pipeline for game development and you'll never need a body of people that big again, not with the tools that are coming.
Right? Yeah. Well, I was, you and I are a fan of Remnant 2, who. You picked out a few games. You're like, we should check this out. Yeah. So we started on Remnant 2. We got it on, I think it's like 2 years old. Yeah. 2 or 3 years old. You're like, check this out. It's only like $16 or something. We got that game. It's super fun.
60 frames per second. Gorgeous looking.
It's so beautiful looking. Uses, I forget the term. It's some kind of generative. There's some.
It's some parts of it are procedurally generated. So,
yeah. So they could, on a second playthrough, you could do a one playthrough we beat it, and supposedly that is, if you beat it, you've played about 25% of the game, they'll claim. So you could go through it multiple times, and I think which means that procedural generation will change the maps, I think, even.
Mazes. It changes the gameplay, changes the bosses you might have to deal with. So it's kind of a hybrid. I think it's still on rails. It's still pretty much on rails. But and if anybody doesn't understand what that term means, it means it's not this full open world thing where you can do just anything you want. It does have a beginning and an end. There is an end game.
If you don't unlock checkpoints, you won't get to the next area.
Yeah. Helldivers 2 is not on rails. Helldivers 2 is an endless grind battle game, you know, and doesn't really appeal to me. I like having a goal, a mission, and a goal in mind, you know.
The reason why I brought up Remnant 2 is that I would frankly, Tim and I are huge fans of Far Cry. Tim turned me onto it. I started at Far Cry. Actually,
5?
I started at 5, though I went back and we did 4 recently, which was awesome.
Didn't have the co-op ability that 5 and Beyond did, though.
No.
We couldn't play main missions together, which was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was still, I think we paid $6 for it. That's crazy.
It was nothing. Well, I mean, it's, 15 years old? 14
years
old?
And it still looks good. Far Cry 4 through 6 and all the variations, New Dawn, all that stuff. I would actually put Remnant 2 as enjoyable as a Far Cry game. And Far Cry games are incredibly, I think they're AAA expensive games. So I was looking up Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is a AA game. And when I was looking up some of the procedural generation, they say, well, yeah, that you can do procedural generation with a smaller team. And so in my head, I'm like, if that's what that means, I'm fine with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I'd have to look up what a mid, maybe that means $100 million. I'd have to look at what AA means. But if that's the deal, that's fantastic. That's still a good game. You can still make a knockout game. As you're saying, with AI, some of that will be automated.
Yeah.
So you can get the AAA results from a AA budget.
Yeah. Yeah, or better. You know, it's just, I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to generate enough pre-engineering into the game so that the procedural part understands what the parameters it has to work with are and what some of the main plot points are of the game. So when somebody goes to play it, if the idea is that anybody that plays it has a combined experience with another player that plays it, then it has to have enough parameters to do so. It may not be in the open part of the world or whatever, but when they show up at X town, in order for people to do walkthroughs and talk about the game, it's got to have that similar experience. Or maybe there'll be versions of the game that don't. Maybe there'll be versions of the game where, like, you play this game, I play that game, and you and I have overall 70 to 80% of the game as a unique experience to our own. You know, I think the future is going to be akin to the studio that did Fallout New Vegas and The Outer Worlds. What they incorporated into their games was a talking system that had ramifications if based on how aggressive you are to the NPC. And even if it's a main plotline NPC, if you got too aggressive with one of them, it completely eliminated one of the missions. And vice versa. If you were too nice, then one of the missions that they had wasn't available. So your choices matter.
Right.
You know? But then they're going to incorporate AI into it so that the NPC has its own reactions and it learns from all its interactions. And there'll be, like, now I don't want to say full random, but it'll be a far more unique experience for each player. And that's the brilliance of that technology. But prompting an entire game, I don't think that's the solution. I think that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like giving the parameters and stuff, like, people are still going to want to have to, like, specific ways to go and get, like, an award or a chest or some secret room or whatever. And having everything randomized and everything. It's akin to the open, you know, the Helldivers thing. Like, I only played that for a little while until I was like, I don't know what the end game is. You know what I mean? This feels like an infinite grind.
It's, in a way, it's kind of like an arcade game. It's an arcade game where you can upgrade.
For what?
Doesn't, you know? You can still get through the game, so it doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah.
You can, so, yeah.
It's not memorable to me. You
no.
know what I mean?
No, there's a Halo arcade game at Chuck E. Cheese, and it's a rail shooter, and you kind of go through and you beat the level, whatever. And Helldivers is a little bit like that. It's kind of like, you know, you go through a mission. The missions are very similar. You're not on rails, but you have to get to. It's somewhat open world, but it's definitely confined to a grid, you know, because you're trying to beat. You have to get to this one area, and so it's very arcadey, you know.
Yeah.
Which means it's fun for about 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the world of gaming is going to change, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm both excited and nervously apprehensive of it at the same time, because it could go in one of two. It could get that much better, or it could cheapen stuff for a while until the industry realizes that they're relying too heavily on these new technologies. And again, they have to pivot again, because, I mean, the proof's going to be in their pocket, right?
Yeah, exactly. What sells, you know?
They're not making money.
Well,
just an example, that AA level game for $100 million, it seems like oh my God, like, that's so much money to recover. Well, at $60 a game, 2 million copies puts you in profit, you know?
Yeah, there may be some grittier games that come out, because if you think about when film industry or a video game industry when things are like tight and like fuck, we gotta make profit, you know.
Yeah.
They're more inclined to try some crazy stuff that's not, you know, that's not politically correct or all this stuff.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, with film and games, it could usher in a part, you know, an era that's a little more raw, kind of like I suppose 70s cinema was a little more raw.
Or even Blumhouse and the A24 stuff, right? The lower budget stuff.
Yeah, they were pretty. They make good stuff, you know, for you know, for all
for
their
10 to 15 million, you know, like that's
that's actually already happening.
Yeah.
If you look at the, you know, look, I mean, horror has always been profitable. There's nothing new. But what you see now is some of the top box office is horror movies. That's not really because horror is more popular. Horror's always popular. It's because the big films are not popular. That's why.
Right.
It's like the constant revenue of horror is just, it's more laid bare.
Yeah.
You can see it because of how shitty the mainstream films are. And some of these are, like the Conjuring movie, like James Wan. These are big mainstream movies.
Sure.
But they are, but the budgets are considerably smaller compared. So like 300 million, they could crank out a Conjuring movie for like 40 million, you know?
Yeah. It's, I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast about reducing budgets and, you know, getting rid of bloat and trying to salvage what's in Hollywood and
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they have, you know, it's like Paramount Pictures, there's like 100 people in an office. They're just all pushing paper, dealing with contracts, and how can you sustain that? I mean, you're just bleeding money.
Yeah. And they're not $50,000 salaries, you know?
No.
These are big people, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Time will tell. Time will tell. But I think we covered a lot of ground, dude. I think the next time we'll probably have some more updates and pop in some of the stuff from the commercial project we got going on. And hopefully the next time we talk, I'll be in the 990s. And I'll just be right around the corner, man. Just, oof.
Getting there. Home stretch.
Yeah, just trying to pace myself, man. I don't want to burn out.
Cool. Well, thanks, everyone, for listening. This is Tom from VHS Massacre.
Tim Kulig, Free Music, and we'll catch you next time.